Okay, hello, and this is a tutorial for our milling certification. I'm basically gonna mill an entire board in this video. Hopefully by the end of this video you would have gained enough knowledge to pass your certification, both for the quiz and for the practical certification. Now let's start off. Basically my first step will be to introduce you to something what's called a professionally made board. Many of you may not be really familiar with this, but a lot of you may be. This is what's called a professionally made board. It's usually green in color. This right here that you see, some of the components, a lot of this should be familiar to you. For example, these are resistors of certain value. These through-hole resistors are drilled and put holes, and they're placed inside and then they're soldered. Now once you're done with that, you'll see these small traces that connect these resistors. These are what's known as wires. Basically they do the same job as what our wires on a breadboard do. Our job in milling is basically to build these traces so that someone can place the components on them. We should not only will we be making the traces, we'll also be drilling these small holes so that you can place the components. There is another type of holes that we do. It's called the vias. Basically the concept comes from the fact that, let's say we have this small particular area to work on. What we end up in doing is we put as many as traces as possible into this board, and when we don't have enough space we put it on the other side. So what we do is we take the trace, we drill a hole for say over here, and then we turn the board around, and then you continue the trace and then end it over here, and then through that hole we take it to the other side again. So in other words, now let's look at this copper board that we're making. To make it a little more clear, let's say I have this capacitor here and I want to place this capacitor here and then connect it to a battery. It's probably the last thing anyone would be doing, but just for an example I'm going to use this. My first step would be to drill two small holes simply to place these this capacitor over here. So what I would do is I would drill a hole. Let's use this marker and make it 2 holes, and that'd be my 2 holes, and then I draw my traces. So that's 1 and that's 1. So these 2 are traces, and let's say I want to connect it to a battery for some reason on the other side. So what I do is I drill 2 holes right here, and then I flip the board, then I take it to the other side, and then I would have holes generated over here. Those holes, let's say it's over here, I would pull another 2 traces from here, and then I would connect it to the positive and negative of a battery. So basically when you look at it, for any milled board we would have a few layers. One layer is what we call the drill holes, where we drill these holes. Another layer is called the copper bottom, where we mill the traces on the top. Another layer would be the copper bottom, where we mill the traces on the bottom. And finally we would have the board outline. Let's say if we have a big sheet of copper and we want to mill this small board out, and we call that layer board outline. You will get a little bit more familiar with this as we go to multi-board, but this is our first section. Thank you.